Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and it's been the first weekend for the release of the Orc and Goblin tribes. So I thought we'd take a look and see how the stock is looking. There has been plenty of issues with GW's stocking of Warhammer The Old World and also releases selling out incredibly quickly. So let's take a look and see how the first wave of the Orc and Goblins are doing. It's been obviously Saturday and Sunday has passed. We're now on to Monday, so we've had a good couple of days. I can certainly tell you that I went to look for the cards for the Orcs and Goblins while I'm here in the UK, and they were completely sold out, and that was by Saturday afternoon. So certainly the cards are selling out in the UK pretty quickly. But overall, let's take a look at the pre-order stock. So bearing in mind this is a 2-week pre-order window, and we can see that actually a lot of stuff, the dice are still in stock, a lot of the Forge World stuff still in stock, so the Orc War Boss Giants, Troll Hag, Bone Grind Giants, they're all still in, though of course they are the pricier items. The Orc Big Guns, which I'm not a big fan of, I know some people are, they're still in. The Night Goblin Command set's still in, but again, that's a Forge World set, and I do really like that one. We can see overall, pretty much the bulk of the models are all still in stock in the UK. So that's actually pretty good. So either they've produced plenty, or the Orc and Goblin tribes are not as popular. It's difficult to say which. Certainly on the videos that I've made when it comes to faction focus, the Orc and Goblin tribes have certainly not been the most popular of videos, I have to say. But maybe the stock levels have increased or been better prepared. But when we come down to the temporarily out of stock, there you can see the cards sold out online. I actually really do quite like having the cards. It's a real pain for me, given that they do these literally one buy only, and yet the factions are out for years, the book's out for years. I think it's really, really problematic. I think GW need to really sort themselves out with the cards, as opposed to just doing one release and that's it. I know there are options. Yes, they're in the book and everything else, but it's just nice on the tabletop having the cards there. So I'm going to have to try and source some from a store, but we've already seen a few of these cards going up on third-party websites, clearly with scalpers charging. I've seen upwards of £60 and £70 for a reference card pack here that is showing at 16. So that, I think, for me is the most disappointing, because it's a one-time only buy. I really think cards should be available at least for a period of time with multiple stock replenishment, as opposed to and reprinting, as opposed to rush for it on the first day and then they're gone. So yeah, disappointing, and currently out of stock in the UK. The Arcane Journal also out of stock in the UK. So is this an issue with GW in terms of the printing, whether it's cards, whether it's books? That seems to be where the weakness is. We saw they've got plenty of models still in stock, but the book and the cards are gone. That's the UK. And then we can see we've got the Orc Command set. These are both pretty nice, as well as the Black Orc Big Boss. They're out of stock, as is the Doom Diver, a classic Orc Shaman, and some classic Night Goblin Shaman. So interesting, either these were either low stock. I'm surprised these two are out. Either they were very low, or in terms of what they provided for, or they're being snapped up pretty quickly because people have seen the rules and they know they want some Shamans and some Night Goblins. Personally, for me, I'm a person that runs Black Orcs and Night Goblins, so these would be ones that I want. And the Doom Diver, also a particular favourite of mine. So, as we can see, in the UK, not a huge amount out of stock, only 7 items. 2 of those, however, are the book and the cards are now completely sold out and gone forever. However, the only other item here that right now is limited is the dice. That is still available, and yeah, that's pretty much where things are right now. So the UK looking pretty good in terms of the overall models for Orc and Goblins. Like I say, difficult to say whether they're just not as popular a faction or whether more stock was provided, but certainly I have noticed that Orc and Goblins are not the most popular faction, certainly in terms of the videos I've produced on the channel. Let's take a look over the pond into the US and see how the US is holding up in terms of stock. Their stock has been a little bit worse off in a lot of cases compared to the UK. So we can see the dice are still in, but they still have the cards, interestingly enough. So cards still available in the US. And we can see the giants still available, the big uns. Personally, I don't like these models. Clearly, people aren't buying them out. I suspect there's some very niche collectors for these. I just don't think they hold up personally. But there's lots of people out there that do want them. But clearly not enough to take them out of stock. Again, plenty of models seemingly here. Yep, all the way down. Night Goblin Shaman's still in stock as well, as is the Battalion. So the Battalion's still available for both. The Battalion makes a nice starter for a lot of people. But we can see the Arcane Journal is out. It does suggest there's a lot of people here that have probably quite either maybe sort of sizable existing armies of Orc and Goblins, potentially, given that the Arcane Journals are clearly sold out. So as to say, we don't know the stock numbers, but the Arcane Journals are sold out both in the US and UK, so maybe this is returning players who have plenty of existing Orc and Goblins. But we're starting to see more of the Forge World stuff is out. So the Orc Warboss and Wyvern, the Troll Hag, they're all out, as is the Night Goblin command set, which is out. And the same as the UK here, we've got the Orc command set and the Black Orc Big Boss also out, along with the Doom Diver Catapult. And then we can see here, Nasty Skulkers, Pump Wagon, Goblin Rock Lobos, actually quite a few here. So if we look in total, we've got, what's that, 6, 10, 14 items of 28. So exactly half of the available items in the first wave of the Orc and Goblin tribes are unavailable right now in the US after a 2-day pre-order window, which actually lasts 2 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of 2 weeks what is out of stock. Certainly things haven't seemed to have shifted quite as quickly as the Tomb Kings and Bretonnians, but of course that was the initial release of the Old World. But with that in mind, let's take a look and see where we are in terms of stocking of the Bretonnians and Tomb Kings, just as a provides of a reference. So here we are back on the UK site looking at the Bretonnians. We can see there the main starter boxes in. Knights of the Realm on foot are back in, and we can see that, yeah, we've got a few models here. Pegasus Knights, Battle Standard Bearer Green Knight, so some basic models in there. But as soon as you get down again, the Force of Fantasy is still out of stock. Arcane Journal out of stock. Knights of the Realm, the Trebuchet, Questing Knights all out, so quite a lot. So in terms of total there, we've got, again, 6, 10, 12 items of 26. So again, nearly 50% of the Bretonnian items are out of stock. And in fact, when you actually count that of the remaining 14 items that are in, 2 of those are e-publications which don't have a stock. It's not great in terms of either this remains incredibly popular with people buying even now at quite a pace, or the Old World is massively suffering from stocking issues, and I suspect it is the latter. Let's take a look at the Tomb Kings in the UK. We can see Tomb Kings here. They're the EPUBs, but the starter boxes in. Plenty more of the basic models in stock for Tomb Kings, as well as the old plastic monsters. NECAF is in. So we can see down here that the Ravening Hordes book, again, still out of stock. Is there an issue with GW's printing of books? Because the books seem really hard to get hold of. Right, okay, the War Machines are now out, so we're starting to see some of the Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings don't look quite as bad as Bretonnians. They've only got 9 items out of 28, which are out of stock. 2 of those, however, being the book, and a couple of these are the new Forge World models, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so overall, Tomb King's better than the Bretonnians, but missing the books is probably the biggest part because these are the rules that get people into the game. These are the basic things. The Ravening Hordes and Forces of Fantasy, you'd want those to be readily available given the rules they contain for all the factions. So that's pretty disappointing to be in that situation, bearing in mind that we are now a few months down the line since release. Let's take a look and see how things are in the US. So if we look at our Bretonnians, so the Bretonnian core set out of stock in the US, however, few of the different models are in terms of Knights of the Realm. But if you come down here again, Force of Fantasy out of stock, Arcane Journal out of stock, just like the UK, but a lot more items not available. So if we look here, we've got 3, 7, 11, 15, 17 items of 26. Now, if we make that down to 24 because of the 2 e-publications, 17 items of 24. That's pretty poor. So that means there are only 7 items available in stock for Bretonnia within the US. That's pretty poor, I'd have to say, a few months after release. How are people supposed to get into the game if they can't buy things? And when you start thinking about that tournaments are starting to take place, we just had Adepticon, people are going to be needing models, are going to be needing to update their armies after playing these tournaments, as well as just getting casual players into the game. A lot of people won't be able to afford a full army straight off. They've got to buy each month. Well, as you go through, there's not a lot of choice for some of these people who are starting fresh armies, and they do need that choice. So let's take a look at the Tomb Kings over in the US. Are they as bad? So their starter box is also out. So you currently cannot buy from Warhammer's online web store a starter box for Warhammer The Old World of the Tomb Kings or Bretonnia. That's pretty bad. Now, the Arcane Journal is in for the Tomb Kings, which is important, but it's not the key piece. The key piece is, yes, it's the Ravening Hordes book, and again, that is also out of stock. So again, we're seeing there's a few items in stock, but the US situation considerably worse than the situation in the UK for stock. I don't know the reason why that is, but again, not good. Either the old world is more popular or there's just not as much stock making its way across the Atlantic Ocean. Now, as we can see here, yeah, lots of things out all the way down here. So let's see, we've got 6, 10, 14, 17 items out of 25, taking off the 2 EPUBs. So again, 17 items out of 25, so only 8 items in stock for the Tomb Kings in the US. That again is pretty poor. Great, you can buy some core troops and you can buy a couple of monsters, and that is pretty much all you can buy for the Tomb Kings. You can't buy any of the special troops, you can't buy the war machines, can't buy rare units, characters all missing. Some of the Shabtu, the elite infantry, some, the key characters, pretty bad. So the stocking situation for Warhammer The Old World is not great, I have to say. You'd expect, maybe not in the brick and mortar stores, but you'd expect there to be a better situation online this far down the line. Like I say, maybe because the Orcs and Goblins have more in stock than the Tomb Kings and Bretonnians. Maybe more was produced, or maybe they're not as popular. Difficult to say. But there we go. That's just a short video taking a look at where we are after the 2 days pre-order window for the Orc and Goblin tribes, and having a look back at where we are with Bretonnians and Tomb Kings in terms of stock, both in the UK and the US. We really do need the situation to improve, especially around rulebooks. And in my mind, we also need to allow for more than just a single print of the cards. Clearly, they go incredibly quickly, and that needs to be rectified given that these rules are going to be out for several years at least. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know your thoughts on the stocking situation, And if you've got local game stores which clearly have stock of these items, it'd be good to let everybody know in the comments down below. And if they're nearby, then maybe they can pick some things up from there. If you want to see more content, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free for you to do. It takes seconds to do, but it's a big deal for me, and I appreciate everyone who has done that so far. You've been watching The Ghost Owl, and I'll see you all very, very soon as we make our way towards the Dwarf and Mountain Holds faction focus videos.